Hello, mentors. Welcome to meeting 5, celebrations, and that'll be on November 2. We'll have 2 activities. The first is called festivities, and it's about celebrations around the world, how to honor them with math games and creations. And the last 20 minutes or so, it's going to be about your mentors' majors. So you guys will talk about your majors, and the students will be asking questions. So let's take a quick look at the overview. So the first activity, festivities, this first part is the longest one. So the students will share experiences related to celebrations, and then we'll work in teams to solve different puzzles. So it's about 1 hour. There's 3 puzzles, but not all need to be solved. So you could have students solving just 2 or even just 1 if you do it deep enough. As we will see, the puzzles have lots of challenges. And then your mentors majors. So mentors will talk about their majors, you guys, and professional aspirations. Also stories, what motivated to study what you're studying, or if you have maybe double major, just talk very informally about these things. Students will be asking questions about them. The mathematical goals are probability, linear growth, distances. So those are the areas. And the goals are represent probabilities using tables, tree diagrams, and other tools. So representation, again, strong. Make sense of analysis by cases, so a lot of logic here, and understand how complements, when an event does not happen, work in probability. Then for linear growth, which will connect to meaning 2 about the brain, solve problems that involve 2 or more different rates of change and represent them using 2D graphs, and create problems that involve 2 or more rates of change. So this is a great opportunity for this puzzle to connect back to this concept of linear growth without necessarily talking about functions or linear functions or that terminology. And finally, distances, calculate what we call the taxi cab distance in a grid and solve problems involving them. You can Google it, the taxi cab distance, and see how cool that is. And then understand the circles, quotation in taxi cab distance, explain them in words, and draw them in a grid, or as we will see, on a graphed grid. We have enrichment goals, appreciation, support, amplified, and encourage. So again, it's all about celebrations. So the idea is to appreciate celebrations around the world, understand the value, support our talents in crafts or visual design or game design, and share it with others. So a lot about support, meaning that if you're a mentor and you see kids struggling or kids kind of anxious about it, you support them. And it's all about showing what you're capable of. Amplify, we will amplify the core value of celebrations and the impact that they have in our daily lives. And finally, encourage others to share stories by listening with empathy, asking questions, and being respectful and curious about their cultures. So problem 1, let's take a quick look. The idea is that you start with these questions that go from the self to really global about the world. When are your birthdays? What do you do to celebrate? What's the best gift that you've been given or you have received or given? What occasions do you celebrate with your friends and family? What other celebrations around the world do you know? And here, of course, students may only know those that are local to them, and it's okay that they express. But also, as a mentor, you want to share other celebrations, maybe in India, Japan, or Africa, any part of the world, really. Are celebrations mostly for religious people? Interesting question. Do you think celebrations change through time? And of course, it has changed, and this is a great opportunity maybe to criticize some celebrations that are now just about money, right? About the economic systems, but maybe like Halloween, say, or Christmas, say what's the, what are the values there and have they changed? And finally, very deep questions. Why are these important? Have people always celebrated things? So a little anthropology there doesn't hurt. And you could also bring many things to the table. And then there's some presentations, and the idea is the students not just solve the problem, but internally or in their groups, but actually they read and make sense of the puzzle of problems, and then they present to another group of students. So before solving, it's about, do you make sense of the problem? What do you understand or you don't understand, etc. Here are the 3 puzzles: Pan de Muerto, change of pace, and illuminations. And remember, you don't have to do all three. Two would be ideal, sweet spot kind of, but if it's only just one, that's totally fine as long as the kids are engaged and you're doing deep mathematical thing. So these are the notes about the sharing process. There's gonna be two mini groups, G1 and G2. So G1 reads to G2 and then the other way around. During the 3 minutes of silent reading, it's okay to answer quick questions, but otherwise let them just make sense. And then while students are presenting, and remember presenting just means presenting the problem, not the solution, tell them that they can only glance the problem to remind themselves of a certain quantity or to review a specific part, but they really need to explain in their own words. In other words, don't just have students reading the problem like a robot or just to please you, but actually they need to internalize, make sense of the problem. And finally, insist that all students write the problem information. Tell them that they need to write all they should need to solve the problem, not just numbers, but maybe key ideas, a concept map, bullet points, diagrams, etc. So that's part one. And again, it's long, right? Around 60 minutes or so. So you may plan to do all three, 20, 20, 20, but it may not turn out that way. And again, actually this meeting is about time management, right? So it's a great opportunity. And one of the reasons we put so much material, because as teachers, you plan so many things, but in reality, you need to make decisions on what's important and what's not important. How do we make those decisions? Looking at the goals, kind of it's like when you're satisfied that the goal has been reached at a certain level, then you give yourself permission to move on. If the goal is still not satisfied, you still probably need to work, but then bear in mind that you'll have to sacrifice probably other puzzles, other parts of the discussion, etc. So it's a balancing act, guided especially by the mathematical goals, also guided by the motivation on your students, and also guided by logistical things such as what things I'm more able maybe to explain, or what seems to click more between the mentors, between the students. So these intangibles. Can you practice time management? Of course you can. You can anticipate these situations. And again, be aware of downtime moments, as we usually say, where nothing happens, and react probably fast to move on. So that's another indication. The second part of the meeting, it's all about you guys, the mentors. So it's very open, right? There's only one slide in the Pear Deck and in the teaching manual pertaining to this, because the materials is depending on you. Some cool objects related to your major. You can even bring a friend that wants to talk about their major. You can, tell your friend to come to the meeting at say 3:20, 3:25, or just text him, text her. And so you guys will talk about your majors and professional dreams, college stories, and then students will be asking questions to mentors, and also mentors to mentors. A very important thing is that the most questions are about majors and college, but few questions may also be a bit more personal, right? And of course, there's kind of overlap. This is an opportunity to keep bonding with students. And finally, when using college language, make sure to explain what each term means in very friendly language. Because we may have bias, right? You're doing UCI every day and you're very used to now to this language, majors, or the subjects or units, credits, etc. And well, middle schoolers are not, but it's a great opportunity to introduce these concepts or these terms. So you may use the formal terms and explain it, or just not use it and use some synonyms or just some way around to convey the same meaning without getting too technical. So you can also poll students at the very end of the meeting, just for fun, to see which mentor won or which major won, or also which other majors they would like to know more about and maybe come next time with a friend or just with some information about their major. Remember, one key goal of Math CEO is that we motivate students to pursue a major either in STEM or other fields by by looking at you guys as role models. So at this point, you probably have bonded a lot, but it's important to reflect: are they looking at me as a role model in the sense of college, or just as a math teacher, or just as a friend? And this part of the meeting is so that students can look at you as a role model professionally, right? In terms of a major, that college is possible. There's a positive case, right? Or two or three, right? Depending on how many mentors. And students come home and they'll see, okay, now I know more people, or I know people didn't know at all, that had this path to UCI, had some obstacles, and now it's perfectly possible. Why not me, right? And then it may be the beginning of a very beautiful story a few years, into, I guess, 2026, 27, or whatever, when they finally, enter UCI or another university. So that's the meeting right there. And we'll have more videos just to talk about particular puzzles. Have fun.